try to bring you high-quality educational and informational content every single day. Why do you think the price is having such an anemic time? The news story of the hour. Jump onto the chart. Is this the beginning of a massive financial unraveling? We got to add a little addendum to the show map today, so we start here on the daily. Now, we've been looking at the RSI on Bitcoin's daily chart for the last several days. It always has been, but it's been increasing over the last 50 years since the government has been bigger.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Coffee and Crypto Live. It is Tuesday, July 26th. And I'm super excited to be here with you guys. My name is TA Tim. Those of you who are wondering why I'm here and where's Jebb, the question that's been on everyone's mind. We've been talking about that over the last couple of weeks. Unfortunately, he still has a lot of stuff going on with his family with sickness. His wife, unfortunately, miscarried again last week. And while in the hospital, they caught COVID. So poor Jebb cannot catch a break. Please keep praying for him. But we still have a show to do. Look at that. My hair got a little. You didn't even correct me there.
I didn't.
My technical director.
I actually didn't notice it until we went.
I look like a rooster.
I didn't notice.
I don't know what happened there, but you know what? The show's going to go on anyway.
Go for a fancier
the show's going to go on anyway. We got some good stuff to talk about. Obviously, we have FOMC meeting coming tomorrow. That is what's on everybody's mind. But last night, after having some good rallying, we actually had some pretty aggressive dips in some of the biggest coins out there, including Ethereum, Cardano, Bitcoin. We're going to talk about those, even look at the charts on those today. But we also got a lot of news coming out. There was a big story that another bill. We've already had a bill a couple months ago proposed by, I believe, Congress. It was T-Shroom. You can correct me on that here in a second if I am wrong. But Congress proposed a bill that any transaction under $200 be tax-free. Well, another one just entered in the Senate for everything under $50. It will be interesting to see these two bills go into the future. More than likely, we will not see them come to pass for a long while, but it's going to be interesting to discuss what this means about the future of crypto and your use case of it in your everyday life. We're going to discuss all of that and more. But first, let me introduce these two fine gentlemen that did not want to tell me that I had a rooster hair at the start of the show.
I actually thought it looked fly, like somebody said in the chat.
I got Smay over here. I got T-Shroom on my right. How you gentlemen doing this morning? I know you guys have your routine. So 1, 2, 3. How are you guys doing?
Better than we deserve.
Oh,
Tim.
come on. Tim.
Wow.
Come on.
Ruined it.
Well, Tim, you've never counted us down.
I know. You know, you guys also usually tell me when I look like a rooster. Or look worse,
so let's start it again. Let's start again.
All right. How are you gentlemen doing this morning? 1, 2, 3.
Better than we deserve.
All right.
Tim.
Second time's the charm. There we go.
There we go.
So. Awesome. We got what's getting you going this morning, Smay? What's making you so excited about today's show?
Well, I'm gonna tell you.
Yeah.
I woke up this morning, and I got out of bed, and I took a shower.
Whoa.
Well, I used the bathroom, then I took a shower.
Yeah.
Then I got in my car and I drove here, and I thought to myself on the way here, there's a missing piece. There's a missing piece to my morning that I haven't quite conquered yet. And I realized that I forgot to take my pill. But then the second thing I realized was that I haven't got to read green names yet. And I cheered up, my spirit lifted because I knew that in less than an hour, I would be able to go on there and actually read those green names.
Come on.
Wow, this is so profound of an experience I get to have. So I'm gonna go ahead and read some green names. We got this is a new one. We got GS, we got Stinky Nerd.
Ooh.
Stinky Nerd.
I
Shout
love
out
it.
to you. We got Sultan Salt, we got Mitch Shaw, we got Adam Rourke, we got who else we got here? We got CryptoSec Guy, we got Matt C. I love those two. We got Crypto JMP, we got CryptoVet's not a green name, but I want to shout out CryptoVet because I like that guy a lot.
I do like that guy too.
And then we have here Win Peoples, we have JoJo, we have Colin McDonald, we have Crypto Alchemist. We have Eye of the Beholder, as in Bitcoin holder, if you guys weren't aware. And then we have Agent Gold, and then we have GoGo CJC, and then we have Philly Fan 61, Grand Roofing Incorporated, and a Mellow Fellow.
And one of your favorites is not here.
He's not here. He's late.
Running late.
He's late. Maybe
Wow.
he'll come in later in the show. But shout out to you guys. I love you. Back to you, Tim.
So, mate, how are your Saturday and Sunday mornings when you don't get to get up and read green names?
That's a great question. I wake up and everything feels just a little bit emptier around me, But I do still practice reading green names. I don't get to do it in front of everybody, but part of my morning ritual is to get up. I'll pull up the YouTube membership thing, and I'll just start reading names in the morning after I get up. So yes, guys, Shannon Sharp, shout out to Shannon Sharp. She seems disappointed.
She has a blue name, so it throws you off a little bit.
It throws me off, but I'll give you Shannon Sharp. I'll give you the shout out.
It's because she's that important. Though, is the problem.
And I'm not gonna say who it is, but shout out to T-Shroom's mom in the chat.
Yay!
Shout out.
I mean, it's not gonna be hard to guess who it is now that you shouted her out.
Anyways,
welcome T-Shroom's mom.
All right.
Well, before we get going into the show, do you go to him? I don't know if we were still on the split screen.
No.
Before we jump in, guys, I do want to thank one of our sponsors here at Coffee and Crypto Show. It is I Trust Capital. They help us keep the lights on, but also they help you guys avoid taxes. That's gonna be really big. We're gonna talk later about avoiding taxes with transactions less than $50. But guess what? You can avoid paying taxes by putting your money into Roth IRAs and saving for the future, so that down the road you can take out that money and use it, give it to your children, pay for college funds, pay for your retirement, all tax-free in the crypto space. I Trust Capital is who we trust to do that. So again, we all use them, and I heavily suggest you guys use them as well. There's a link in the description down below, and I think there's some goodies down there as well. So you guys got to go check that out. At least go, if you guys have never looked up I Trust Capital, I'm sure you've heard their name before. Go look at what they're doing. Super cool company. A lot of our fans, let us know in chat if you guys use I Trust Capital. A lot of our fans use them and love every bit of it. You guys want to start that this day, today, right now. Go get I Trust Capital. With that being said,
Tim, I have to say something about that.
Oh, you haven't thought about I Trust?
Yeah, I do have a thought of I Trust.
What do you trust about them?
I was about to say, you know what I trust?
Yeah.
Capital. I trust Capital.
Whoa.
Guys, go check it out. Real quick. If you don't have a Roth IRA with crypto in it, what are you even doing? Anyways, back to you, Tim.
Thank you for that. Brooklyn Smay. Get a little flavor all over the globe.
I almost grew up in
Smay.
New York. That's a fun fact. Deep cut. But
Almost.
Yeah.
I did almost grow up in New York.
It is time for our market pulse this morning. So I'm going to be throwing it over to T-Shroom to read us the headlines of everything that we think is important. What is going on over there this morning, T-Shroom?
All right, we got a sweet and sour market pulse, some sweet, some sour. We're going to start off with the sweet. If you go over my screen, Smay, got a Chipotle Buy the Dip promotion. Includes $200,000 in crypto for customers with Coinbase's account. So you can see that delicious burrito wrapped in that foil there. But what's going on with this story? The fast casual chain kicked off a week-long promo today in which it's giving away $200,000 in crypto and almost $2 million in free guacamole and queso blanco dips. Famous for those delicious dips. This promotion is running through July 31st, aka National Avocado Day. Again, we're having a lot of fun here. Chipotle will give out crypto prizes of varying amounts to 516 players, while some 700,000 will receive free food vouchers. The crypto prizes, which range in cash value from $1,250 to $35,000 and will be awarded in Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Avalanche, and Doge, will be deposited into verified winner Coinbase accounts, which are required to claim. So that's going to be a lot of fun for everybody on the East Coast. This is the game website, chipotlebythedip.xyz. And perhaps purchased from Unstoppable Domains. I'm not exactly sure, but that's definitely the kind of domain that you would get from Unstoppable. And so at 1 p.m. Eastern time is when this opens up, and you can get in there. I tried to look to see if there was some gameplay on YouTube. I couldn't find it. I think if the stars align, Smay and I will do some Let's Play of this game just to see if it's fun or not, and then you will be able to see. But so I mean, this is no joke, guys. This is a big number, $200,000. You'll at least win some free queso and some free guac. So just a little fun little story there. But moving right along, the SEC launches a probe into Coinbase over alleged securities listing report. Now, you'll remember last week there were some similar headlines with some insider trading, and then they also declared 9 coins out of the 25 were securities and they needed to look into it. Well, they've taken it a step further this week. A possible investigation relates to the insider trading case launched by the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission last week when the regulator accused one of Coinbase's former employees of violating the company's insider trading rules by tipping off his brother and a friend on upcoming coin listings. Very naughty activity now. It's cutting deeper for Coinbase. The agency said it had determined that the 9 tokens traded by the individuals accused of insider trading contained hallmarks of the definition of a security. So applying the Howey test, the SEC is now really scrutinizing Coinbase. Of those 9 digital assets mentioned by the SEC, 7 are currently still listed on Coinbase. So they haven't removed those, potentially in defiance of the SEC. So that's definitely some shaky ground, some shaky territory. But the Coinbase hasn't given up. They've come out with some statements. Coinbase Chief Legal Officer Paul Grewal, really cool name there, took to Twitter to deny the exchange is listing unregistered securities. In his defense, he said, "We are confident that our rigorous diligence process, a process the SEC has already reviewed, keeps securities off our platform, and we look forward to engaging with the SEC on this matter." So not giving up there, fighting back. You can leave the screen for a second. You know, the Coinbase is really, it's a big institution, right? And we're yet to see if the SEC is really serious about this inquiry or if they're just trying to try some rules and see how far they can get before the courts start to have a say if Coinbase were to counter-sue them in this investigation. So, that's only the beginning of this story. Binance is also under investigation by the SEC. So those are going to be some ongoing cases to absolutely watch as the crypto space gets some clarification on what is a security and what's not. But the good side of this is actually, so we'll leave on a sweet note. We'll leave the market pulse on a sweet note, I believe. And if you go back to my screen, Smay, the CFTC announces new tech innovation office to oversee crypto. So if you're just joining our show or if you're new to crypto, there's this ongoing debate of whether or not crypto should be regulated by the CFTC or by the SEC. The SEC is the Securities and Exchange Commission, right? And so they regulate with their securities like Apple stock or Boeing stock or an ETF of anything. So that and they have a much tighter regulatory tone usually. So it would be less favorable for crypto to be regulated under the SEC. The SFTC, which is the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, I believe. Hope I got that right.
What did you say? The CFTC?
CFTC, Commodities Futures Trading
Commission. SFTC.
Something like that.
confused.
I'm not 100% sure on that acronym, but Commodity Futures Trading Commission. Yeah, got it. Nice. So they are. It would be more favorable for crypto to be regulated under the CFTC because for a variety of reasons, but we won't get into it today. What's important is that they are announcing a new office to oversee crypto, the Commodities and Future Trading Commission (CFTC), which stands to gain greater authority over digital assets under the proposal of a bipartisan congressional bill, is setting up a new office for technology innovation. So that's a big action-packed sentence there. There's more to unpack there, but we'll move on. We are past the incubator stage, and digital assets and decentralized technologies have outgrown their sandbox, says CFTC Chief Rostin Bainum of the decision while speaking at a Brookings Institute event yesterday. So they're launching this new office, and it's signaling that they are going to continue to see themselves as the rightful regulator of crypto with this move and the opening of this new office, as well as employing specialists in the field. The office will give CFTC staff the chance to rotate through and gain experience in crypto. And I read that almost, and you can leave the screen now, Smay. I read that last sentence, as well as employing specialists in the field, the office will give CFTC staff the chance to rotate through the gain experience. That's almost like a, hey, come work for us. If you're reading this article, you have a chance to come gain experience in crypto. Don't worry, I'm not going to leave the channel to go work for the CFTC. But perhaps, if you're sitting there jobless with some kind of specialization degree in finance, you might actually have a good chance of going and working for this regulator. provided, of course, you don't have any felonies or any kind of criminal history, you could potentially go work for them. And if you are a crypto advocate or you want to see crypto furthered, I would highly recommend you apply to go work at the CFTC. I believe you'd get an office in Chicago if you can't work remotely. Yeah, so that's a positive, kind of the sweet to the sour news of Coinbase being investigated there for facilitating the trade of securities. You know, you never want to see that, but
I got one more for you, T-Shroom, and I saw someone had this in chat. And I know because I was reading about this last night, but it didn't get into our market pulse. But I just went and looked an article up about it. You can go to my screen here, Smay. I want to hear your thoughts about this one. Did the White House just change the definition of a recession? Here's what Michael Burry thinks. So in this article, I was scanning it while you were going through. I guess the concept, you know how we talked about before, the definition of a recession, T-Shroom, is that there's two quarters of negative GDP. Right. Well, the White House has come out and said that that's actually not the definition.
Right.
And they've redone it to the White House would like you to redefine recession as one in which consumers are not borrowing on credit cards to pay for inflation.
Right.
What are your thoughts about that one, T-Shroom?
Yeah, so this actually was something we were going to cover in the market pulse, and we'll go ahead and dive into that, and I'll answer the question. U.S. gross domestic product numbers will be printing on the 28th. Those are the advanced QOQ number income, so that's the quarterly, but as recorded is actually published monthly. So previously that number was negative 1.6%. So and it's forecasted now to be 0.5%. And a negative print, negative number on the 28th would typically confirm a recession, but the White House wants to shift the goalpost on how it's defined, seeing a little bit of a peak of my opinion there with the writing, but it's unclear how this would affect the markets because of the murkiness of the political aspect kind of taking a step into the conversation here. I got to be honest, I was listening to some CNBC reporting on this morning. CNBC is a little bit skewed, just from my own opinion. I hear them in the type of general news headlines that they cover. They are a little bit skewed to maybe favor the current administration. Yeah. And I would say that right now there's this I think it's the NBR is an official agency that determines whether or not we're actually in a recession, and they apparently have never actually adopted the 2-quarter rule. So there's no actual in the books legal definition for a recession, or it said better, there's no it's much more nuanced. It's not just quarter by quarter that 2 quarters in a row that it would be defining a recession. So
what I want to know is, because according to this article, the concept they want you to kind of go with is that consumers are not borrowing on credit cards to pay for inflation. I mean, because some people do borrow on credit card. How do you quantify that someone's using a credit card to fight inflation? How do you, I mean, maybe they have a way that I'm not even thinking about, but how would they even, it sounds like they're wanting to leave the definition so open that they can just always run down the road and say we're not in a recession.
Yeah. I'm just learning about what the NBR is and like what even, how they calculate a recession technically.
Yeah.
I think looking at credit card debt it's important, but I think it would be only one matrix of consideration. I don't think it would be the entire kit and caboodle. But of course, the kind of the elephant in the room here, of course, the White House wants this to not be a recession because they don't want to be the ones responsible and give the conservatives talking points going into the November elections, not general elections. These would just be the primaries. But it's very, very important that the White House do everything they can for their party to be able to give them the best footing going into that election cycle. And, coming in and saying that there's a recession, they want to do everything they can to try and keep that at bay, that word out of the news, even though, of course, conservatives are still going to push that line regardless. But at least then the White House and, Democrats all across the country can say, oh, well, it's not really a recession because, the official regulatory body that defines that it's more ambiguous than that, and it's a time to learn what a real recession is. So it's going to be murky waters. What's important, though, is it's going to be a lot harder to predict, and I would not trade on the GDP numbers this go around because it could go up, it could go down based on whether it's a positive or a negative outcome for GDP. Ultimately, though, it's going to be a disappointing number. I think it's not going to be 2. It's not going to be the target GDP. It's not going to be a positive 2%, which is what we need to have a thriving economy. But just keep that in mind. So this number is going to be coming out on the 28th. And, we're going to see, and the White House absolutely will be issuing a statement one way or another on the GDP numbers, and the market will react. But I strongly do not recommend trying to trade on that market reaction because it's going to be very volatile. And I could not tell you from where I sit which way it's going to go.
You know what one of the ways is they could do to make sure people aren't borrowing money with credit cards to fight inflation is they can lower those interest rates and start printing money again, which is what some people think they're going to start doing here very soon. So it's going to be really interesting over the next couple of weeks to watch what the response is and what kind of collabs are there going on between the White House and the Fed. Some people like to think that those two are almost together and just doing everything the same. I do think I've seen Jerome Powell at times kind of push back against the White House. So it's going to be really interesting to see. We got a lot of stuff coming out of the White House saying we're not in a recession. They're kind of pushing for we really need to start printing money again. We need to lower interest rates. Inflation's not as bad as we actually think it is. It's outdated, yada, yada, yada. I want to see what Jerome Powell thinks with his FOMC meeting. But let's go ahead. We're going to jump over and do some technical analysis. Before we get there, though, make sure you guys smash that like button. I noticed, I think we had, 900 people watching, 184 likes. We definitely can adjust that. Smash that like button. If you're new here, welcome to Coffee and Crypto. Consider hitting subscribe and joining us every single day. Right now, we're going to start off on Bitcoin. I'm going to make it through Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Cardano. We went a little long with the market pulse, which is great because we wanted to discuss through that news. But we're going to go rushing through here so we can get to the discussion here a little bit. But the first thing, I'm going to pretty much stay on the 4-hourly chart because in all reality, what we're waiting for is tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m. when we get those numbers, and then at 2:30 when Jerome Powell goes live. That will kind of have a big impact on what happens with these prices. But I wanted to start with just looking at some levels that I do think are significant. The first thing is this falling wedge that we kind of had building for us yesterday usually breaks bullish. In this case, we ended up breaking bearish. So there's a couple different levels here. When I drew this line, I think our candle was sitting over here. So we ended up breaking below this first line of support that I had drawn at 21,148. The next level I think is significant is going to be somewhere around 20,500, although where we are currently is significant when you're looking at our Fibonacci retracement. Going from this bottom dip that we had back here on July 13th, going up to the peak that we had, you're going to see that we're touching even right now, right at the golden pocket zone here between 20,800 and about 20,680, give or take 20,700. So watch these. I still am of the opinion that unless we break through this ascending level of support, just remember, I put this over on my Twitter this morning at Tims_TA. We're still setting higher highs and higher lows. And part of rallies, are we going to say because we started coming down here, this rally was over? No, this rally wasn't over. It came down, it touched, and went back up. So until we break this line, until we actually really come down below 1930, I would say 19,300. 19,300 for Bitcoin is what I'm going to say. All right, we're no longer setting higher lows. So potentially, is this little relief rally over? And if you guys are wondering what I'm talking about, first of all, I am not of the opinion that the bottom is already in. I believe that both of these statements are true. I believe that we are in a relief rally, and I'm not ready to call that relief rally over. And I do think that we're going to set a new bottom here down the road within a couple of months. But there are some things in the works that could change my mind on that. If there's some fundamental changes in the news, then my opinion could change about that bottom. But as it stands right now, I still think that we're in a little relief rally. I think the price continue to go up. I'm still watching that $25,300 level. That Fibonacci retracement, if we were to go back to the peak that we had back here in June, going back all the way down, that Fibonacci, in case you guys don't know what I'm talking about, and this is your first time watching me do technical analysis on Bitcoin, this peak we had back here, did not grab my Fibonacci. There we go. If we go back to this peak over here and come all the way down to the low we had, that golden pocket is still significant. It's still in play. We were rallying up towards it, did not quite get there. And so for that reason, I still think that's a significant level to watch. Yes, we kind of bounced at 0.5, and that could have been the top of this relief rally. However, I am not yet convinced, and I've watched a lot of other analysts that are kind of in agreement with me. I don't think that necessarily I think it's a little too early to call this relief rally over just yet. But let's look at Lux Algo. You guys know we love Lux Algo here at the Crypto Jebb team. Look at this on the 4-hourly chart. We were under a strong sell signal, but look where our take profit is kind of sending us right now. We actually have already crossed take profit. And so I'm not saying it has to stop right there. Theoretically speaking, it's even saying the strong side of that is down to 19,700. That's still above 1930. Or 19,300, and this is kind of implicating this could end at any moment. We kind of have gone down low. There's not a whole heck of a lot of volume down here, meaning there's not necessarily a lot of confirmation that we had to come down this low. As far as Bitcoin's concerned, I do think this rally that we've had ever since the CPI numbers came out back here around July 12th, I think it actually happened on July 13th. July 13th happened. We had the CPI numbers. We maybe just got a little bit too overextended. Now the price is coming back down. The bears are more in control than the bulls, but I still think we're waiting for tomorrow's report before we can call anything too soon. Again, those numbers could come out at 75 and mean we're going up because Jerome Powell comes out extremely dovish and saying, hey guys, the worst of this is behind us. We're not entering to recession. Everything's good. The economy's going to boom from here, in which case the price will go up. And if he comes out with 75 and says, this is still looking kind of rough. I know that people are trying, the White House is trying to say we're not in a recession, but it's very much looking like we're in a recession, and we're going to have to tackle this inflation even harder here in 2 months. Then potentially the price goes down. So let's watch what happens, what his response is, but keep that answer in mind as we move through these other projects, because it's not just Bitcoin that will be affected. We're also going to see it be affected over there on Ethereum and Cardano as well. But let's jump over to Ethereum and look at what's happening over there. So you guys are going to see on this one, I had this Fibonacci retracement golden pocket drawn over here. We have actually gone ahead. We broke through that. I did think we were going to find a little bit of support right there, and we kind of blazed right through it. So we cut through that like hot fudge. We didn't even have to really struggle there. Let me scroll down. I got to get to the bottom over here. You guys are wondering where that golden pocket comes from. It's right there. So that golden pocket moves over. We cut right through, but I do think the next level is to keep our eyes on. We're sitting right on top of it at the moment, and that is because I'm looking at these wrestling moments right in here, back here on July 17th. I think this zone is going to be key to watch Ethereum. Can we find support where we had some resistance during this rally? And those levels are going to be around 1384 and about 1332. Also, if we're going to go and use the Fibonacci again on this one and go from this bottom right here and move up, those levels are going to find even more significance, because you're going to see 0.382 is the current level we are wrestling with and kind of settling at right now. Can we continue to close candle bodies at or above those levels? That's going to be a good question. If we cannot hold the 1331, 0.5 is going to be right here around 1299, and golden pocket is going to be down here a little bit closer to about 1226. But notice, even if we go down that low, we're still not setting lower lows during this little rally we have right here. So it's not necessarily time to freak out and say, oh no, the bottom is going to just come in like a freight train. It's going to have some news develop to say that that's going to happen. Let's pull up Luxalgo as well and see what's happening on the 4-hourly chart. Same thing as Bitcoin, although we haven't gotten down deep into it, but our take profit on the strong sell signal on Luxalgo, we're hovering right there at the tip. There's a little bit lower it could go into it, and technically could come all the way down here to around 1243, around where that golden pocket is. However, that is a sign right there that we could be seeing a reversal come very soon. And again, I know that there's some speculation out there. I just don't think there's a lot of heavy news driving these recent dips. I think this is more of a reaction to, well, we got a little bit overextended. We want to see exactly what the FOMC says, what Jerome Powell says, not just what the number is, but again, we want to see what he's going to say about the future. And I think the bears there's not a lot of bulls buying right now. So the few bears that are actually selling and shorting the market, which there's not a whole lot of them, not a whole heck of a lot of volume, they're just in the control right now. But again, this all could change within the next 24 to 48 hours. Keep your eyes fixed on that. The last one we're going to look at today is Cardano, and you're going to see on Luxalgo is not as big a fan of Cardano as it is of Bitcoin and Ethereum, which is funny because you guys know we love Luxalgo. We also love Cardano. And just in case, I'm going to pause right there. You can go off my screen real quick, Smang. If anyone thinks that we're being paid by Cardano, we actually, when we were in Austin, Texas, we were talking with the team there. Didn't get to hear this from Charles Hoskinson himself, but one of his senior advisors actually mentioned us. They know who we are, and they said they liked us, but they were kind of like, can you guys just stop talking about price so much? Like, we feel like you always just bring it back down to price, and our program's so much bigger than that. So there's actually the Cardano team, as much as they like us, they hate that we talk about price. We kind of had to tell them, hey, we're a price analysis channel. We got to talk about price. But they're definitely not paying us. So for anyone out there saying that Cardano is paying the Crypto Jebb team, I almost said I wish, but we don't take coin sponsorships. But the reason I wish is because that would be nice to have some more money from the Cardano team. But we don't. We just love the project because we believe in the people. We believe in what they're building. And so, yeah. Anyway, go back to the chart real quick here, Smay. We broke through this line. I did think it was going to be significant, around 46 cents. The next level is the yellow line that I've had up here for a while that has been support for Cardano ever since back here around June 13th. Yes, we broke below it, but this is a significant line that I do think there's a lot of volume there. If I were to even pull up the VPVR, you're going to find significance to that level right there. So first of all, we broke through this level currently. That's where that blue line came from. But this yellow line is kind of that last defense before there's a big drop off in the volume. So I still think worst case scenario, 44 cents is a good place to be watching for Cardano to be able to go. Although I'm about to pull up Luxalgo and you guys are going to see it is not as big of a fan of Cardano. On the 4 hourly chart, it's giving us that mark, 44 cents, as the point where it's going to be taking that profit on that strong sell. Could even go as low as 39 cents on it. The reason I say it's not as big of a fan, if you guys go out to the daily chart, it's funny. Almost every other project has a buy signal on the daily chart. Cardano is the one that actually still undersell, and it's saying take profit down at 27 cents. If you guys are wondering what I'm talking about, let's see if it switched this morning. Nope. Ethereum had a buy signal on the daily chart, says take profit right around kind of where we peaked. And then Bitcoin, we didn't quite get up to its buy mark where it said buy up here around 26,000. We didn't quite get there. So Cardano's just a little bit different. I love the project. I think there's big things happening there. Vasil hard fork is coming out here within literally a couple of days, and they've been having some successful test nets. But unlike normally where I think people buy the rumor and sell the release, I think the Vasil hard fork is going to be more of it's building up momentum. It happens. A lot of projects end up moving over there. The fundamentals get even stronger, and then the price will come up. Either way, though, this doesn't discourage me as a Cardano holder seeing the price come down. I think this is just part of what's happening. And again, as long as we stay up above this 44 cents, I don't think there's really any reason for anyone to be freaking out as it stands right now. That is all the TA I have for you guys today. Let's go ahead and do some super chats. If there's any chat about TA, I'd love to go back to the charts and review those with you guys. But if not, we answer any other questions that are in chat.
Absolutely. Well, we'll start off the super chats with a non-super chat. It is just a TA Tim has some of the best and easiest to understand technical analysis that I've seen in the crypto space, and his accuracy is awesome. So we love to stay humble here, but we also love to give credit where it's due, and that was from Jason
thank you.
Lange. Going into the super chats, the paid ones, Dr. Fuzzy Eyeball, member for 10 months, and Jebb Youngling, sending prayers and love to Jebb and his family. Very, very much appreciated for that, Dr. Fuzzy Eyeball. Bob donated $20 and said, good morning, gentlemen. Set those limit orders low and hodl on. I don't let fiat prices make your faith in crypto winter. So, yeah, don't let fiat prices make your faith in crypto waver. Crypto waver. So it does say waver. Yeah. So excellent message there from Bob. Don't let the prices of Bitcoin to fiat change your view of Bitcoin. If you have Bitcoin, you have Bitcoin. That's the way to think about it. Roman donating $10 said, hi, I was wondering your opinion on microcaps on Binance Smart Chain, BSC. When we don't cover microcaps on BSC, I think the only one that maybe would qualify is Cake. We covered that one pretty thoroughly yesterday.
Even that, though, that's more of a, like I said, I don't really go into those as much. Sorry about that.
Yeah, but we definitely don't. Yeah, we don't get into that. And I honestly, personally, would not recommend those. You know, if you know something I don't, then you have an edge in that market, then go for it. But I do dabble in those a little bit, and I just don't think I don't see anywhere near the same value in those names as I do in Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, or even Binance. So. We can move on from there. I didn't see a ton on the TA, but I will scan for that.
I saw. So one thing I was going to mention, I would love for you to pull it up, and because I don't have a link to it right here. So I saw Matt C., one of our favorites here. He's also a mod here on the channel. He said he's leaning towards a more hawkish outlook from the Fed tomorrow. And I think it's still possible. I was reading articles last night that there's still some analysts and some experts who are still thinking that 1%, an entire 1% increase is on the table. The problem is those FMC futures on what this is going to be are still, at least last time I checked it, which is why I want T-Shroom to check it again. The last time I checked it was still leaning more heavily towards 75. And then the other thing, again, what I'm kind of piecing together here is, have I seen some hesitation with Jerome Powell just to jump on the bandwagon the White House is coming with? Yeah, I've seen him kind of push back a little bit. I even remember there was the last hearing that happened here a couple weeks ago. Elizabeth Warren was asking him some questions, trying to lead him in a certain direction. He just refused to go down the same direction as them. So I don't think he's necessarily just going to go with whatever the White House and everyone who affiliates with the White House says. However, more often than not, I've seen him more in line with them. And so the fact that the White House is coming out and saying that we have not hit a recession, and the fact that the White House is really trying to push, and even the question Elizabeth Warren was asking, and not that Elizabeth Warren is associated with the White House per se, but of course they're very, very close. Their interests are very similar. She was pointing out, wouldn't it be worse to raise interest rates and make it hard for people to make money at all? And so, I'm wondering how much pressure that Jerome Powell is under to follow what the White House is going with, that a lot of people on the left side of the aisle are going with, by saying, hey, yes, we have an inflation problem, but let's tell them it's not an inflation problem, and let's make it a bigger deal that we stay out of a recession. Guess what's one of the ways you stay out of a recession? You lower the interest rates and you start printing money again. So Matt, as far as what you're saying, I think it would be more responsible to go heavier and go one. I think it'd be more responsible potentially to even start pushing towards 1.25, maybe go up even higher, go 150. But again, I don't think that's on the table. I don't think anyone thinks that's going to happen. I think even bigger though, I think 75 is almost a sure thing, but what's bigger is his response. What's bigger is, he can say a big number, but give a very dovish response to give hope to the future and make people stay bullish. Or he could give a very dovish response. He could go down to 50 basis points, but then also say, yeah, we're really worried about this. We're only doing this because recession looks really scary, but the inflation's also really scary, and that's going to cause a lack of confidence in the market, and it's going to cause people to start pinching. And I think that it would be him kind of teasing, hey, down the road, inflation's really, really scary. We got to get heavy with this down the road. So either way, I think the biggest thing we're going to see come from Jerome Powell here tomorrow is going to be how he answers those questions. And is he giving us a hope, whether it's a true hope or a false hope? Is he giving us a hope for the future, or is he going to kind of scare us and let us know inflation's out of control? That's going to be what's really, really deciding as to what I think the prices are going to do thereafter. But I've been wrong before. I'm excited to see what the prices do. I would just be very surprised if he comes out with a lot of confidence about where the economy is and the prices don't go up, or vice versa. He comes out with a lot of we're in a scary place, and then the prices go down.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if you go to my screen, I've got it pulled up.
Yeah,
it's unchanged since yesterday. So
I'm
still
looking at your screen. That looks like you got even more. What's the percentage at right now?
76.9. Yesterday it was 76.9 exactly. So unchanged.
Okay.
Unchanged as of now. And so this is predicting a 75 basis point hike. Up at a 23.1% chance it'll be 100% basis point hike. Now that's there's still analysts kind of clinging on to that narrative, and I'd say the strongest argument for the 100% basis point hike narrative is that the Fed has been relentless about their tone and what they've been saying, specifically Jerome, about fighting inflation, and inflation is still hot. That number that we just got was a 9.1. That is still hot. And so it wouldn't be completely out of the question for it to be that 100 point basis hike. It's just a matter of,
the only thing is where he sits on that fence about, there's even other analysts saying that inflation is kind of peaked, that it's outdated. That was what the White House said, that the inflation numbers were outdated, meaning that they weren't actually as bad as those numbers would reflect. So if that's the same thinking that Jerome Powell is using, we could very easily see him just stay with 75 basis points. And then, like I said, I was talking with Nicholas Merton from Data Dash over there on the Cointelegraph interview I did with him last week, where he's saying what he's looking at, and his prediction is that 75 basis points here in July. We'll miss August, obviously. We'll then have numbers reported in September where they'll go down to 50 basis points, and then 25 in October, in which case they're very clearly tackling the recession issues rather than the inflation issues. And so if that were to be true, that's going to be bullish for Bitcoin, at least short term. Now, it's going to be probably problematic for getting any type of significant bull market going, because they're still going to be sitting here saying, all right, well, the value of the dollar is continuing to go down, so let me invest in Bitcoin. But at the same time, if they flip the script on us and start getting more aggressive, that's going to bring another crash into the Bitcoin market. So anyone who's sitting here saying, oh, the next Bitcoin bull market's going to get us over 100,000 and take us towards 200, if that plays out where they kind of get a little bit more relaxed on these interest rate hikes and then push it down the road, that will kind of I think that'll suppress us under 100,000. Will not let us get over it because of that concern of, yeah, it's good right now, but when it comes down hard here soon, because they got to do it at some point, unless we're going to just make the complete transfer of currency from US dollars into Bitcoin, it's going to get pretty heavy when it eventually does happen. So that's been my thing this whole time. I used to almost get kind of upset about it and be like, man, we need to be doing what's economically wise rather than always what just feels good, because that's what the problem is right now. But it's like, hey, if they're going to do what they want to do just to make people feel happy, I'm, as a Bitcoin holder, going to take advantage of the situation. Not that I think it's good for the economy, not that I think it's good for the US dollar, not that I think it's good for the US people. And I'll continue to say I think that we should get more aggressive with how we curb this. But as long as they don't curb it, hey, I'm going to take advantage and stack my sats and prepare myself for a even worse winter down the road.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and transition. We're going to go into our discussion section. But real quick, another word from one of our sponsors. And today, taxes has been a huge thing. We're going to talk about taxes here in just a second and how potentially there's a bill on the table that you could avoid paying taxes on cryptocurrency transactions less than $50. But if there's another way that you guys are looking, hey, man, how can I avoid paying as much taxes as possible? That is getting yourself a good CPA. And we have a great one called, his name is Anthony Price. You're going to want to go check him out today. He's going to help you with all of your trading transactions, making sure you're tracking those responsibly. And even if you want to go even deeper with him and do some financial planning so that you pay Uncle Sam as little as possible, make sure to go check out Anthony Price today. Link in the description down below. And if you're sitting on the fence and saying, I don't know if I'm ready for a CPA, I don't know if I can afford it, I don't know if that's what I want, well, just go give him a 20-minute phone call, absolutely free. Find out more information about him, maybe even get some advice within those 20 minutes. Set yourself up for success. Either way, check him out in the link down below. But let's go ahead. I'm going to throw it back over to you, T. Schumann. We're going to jump into this news coming from senators of the U.S. Proposing a new bill for crypto.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, if you will go over to my screen, Smay, bet you weren't expecting that, we will be checking out. This is from CoinDesk. U.S. senators push bill to make small crypto transactions tax-free. And what do they mean by small? Well, we're going to find out. Introducing a bill that would exempt them from reporting any transactions up to $50 or any trade in which they earned less than $50. Senator Patrick Toomey, Republican of Pennsylvania, joined with Christian Sinema, Democrat of Arizona, to push the exemption from tax requirements for crypto users making small investments or purchases. While digital currencies have the potential to become an ordinary part of America's everyday life, our current tax code stands in their way, said Senator Toomey. So the Internal Revenue Service, the IRS, has held a firm crypto policy. When you sell virtual currency, you must recognize any capital gain or loss on the sale, the IRS declares on its website. So giving some good context to what this bill would be amending, the standard has been among the roadblocks standing in the way of crypto's use in the U.S. as an alternative way to pay for things, industry advocates have argued. And one thing I wanted to point out is that this is all kind of being spurned from the background by a think tank, Coin Center, and the chairman of this is Jerry Brito. I think he's a president or director or something like that. But however, the new legislation faces an uphill climb in a Congress on the verge of a lengthy August recess before the midterm elections. Though there have been some movement on efforts to regulate stablecoins, most congressional insiders predict that crypto is unlikely to see significant progress on legislation until next year. So this also brings up the memory of another bill that was very, very similar, but it was introduced in Congress, and we have that pulled up here as well. U.S. lawmakers reintroduced a bill to provide tax relief for small crypto transactions. You'll notice two major key differences. The first is that minimum is $200, or the maximum is $200, not $50. And the other thing is that it was introduced in Congress in the House of Representatives, not the Senate. So, but what you will notice is that it was the same think tank directed by Jerry Brito, is the executive director, Coin Center. And I did go ahead and check out their website, their Coin Center website, and you can make donations on their website. So if you're someone who feels inclined to make donations to think tanks in Washington, you can potentially do that there. I'm not necessarily saying you need to or have to, but it's something to think about. Something I'm considering. But yeah, so this is they're trying. You can leave the screen now. So some initial analysis is they're trying again. Behind the scenes, there's this think tank, Coin Center, that has been working with bipartisan, meaning they've been working with Republicans, they've been working with Democrats. They got a bill introduced in Congress, but unfortunately it didn't seem like it's getting the momentum it needs to pass.
This is the one for $200?
That's the one for the $200, which is still on the table. But the timing has been off, and just the signaling of introducing a very similar bill to Senate with a lower maximum is kind of saying, okay, this one's probably not going to work. Let's try another one from a different starting line in the Senate. and see if that passes. And just for folks who need some freshening up on the Schoolhouse Rock, they haven't seen Schoolhouse Rock in a long time to know how bills get passed. It would need to get approved in the Senate and the House, and then go to the executive desk to get signed off on. But you can start it in either house, and it would just need to go to the other house and then get passed. But I can guarantee you not both of these are going to get passed, because that would be kind of silly. But yeah, so that's where we are. We're in a decent optimistic point for crypto, especially folks who are looking to spend crypto in the very near future. This is probable to pass in the next 2 years. I say it's very unlikely to pass anytime soon, meaning this year. But yeah, so Tim, what do you think? Do you think that this is a positive bill for crypto, or do you think that there's?
I do think it is, and I know. So Pat, I wish someone in chat fact checked me, but I was listening to him out in Austin, Texas, because he was out there at the Consensus 2022, and he was talking about this, and I can't remember. I knew it was one of them. There was a panel of like 4 or 5 politicians, senators, congressmen, and women who were talking about, they're from both sides of the aisle, Democrats, Republicans. And I believe Pat was one. This is his last session. Like he's not up for re-election. He's served his full term. And so to him, he was kind of stressing the real importance for him to get this stuff going so that the next person that comes and fills his seat, that all the work has been done, and now it's about just fulfilling it. So I know there's a lot of stuff riding on Pat. Pat, he feels the weight of this as he's going out, as this is his last time he's going to be sitting there in that seat. He's working very hard day and night to get others on board. I think he kind of almost sees this as his last hurrah. So again, fact check me on that. Maybe it was one of the other politicians, but I remember Pat specifically talking about the stress, him stressing whether this is his last one or not, stressing how this is what he's working very hardly on. I think it's interesting. The $200 bill would have been very fascinating, because some people are going to say, Tim, that's not a normal grocery bill. But that's about what my wife and I spend per week on our grocery bill. So like theoretically speaking, we could have made it to where it's like we pay for our grocery bills in crypto and avoided taxes. So going down to $50, that's a big difference, Now we're talking about just little transactions here and there. Either way, it will be interesting. And you guys know I've been very adamant about that. And I don't know when, and I'm not going to I'm not going to think poorly of someone who doesn't agree with me or says, Tim, that's just, I hear you, but I'm just not willing to take that risk. But I think if we ever expect to get out of the hands of centralized currency and be using decentralized currency, the government's just not going to give up. If we think that the Fed's going to sit down, if we think the government of any country is just going to say, oh, yeah, go ahead, except for El Salvador, because they did it. But if we think they're just going to be like, oh, yeah, no, we'll stop using our centralized currency. Yeah, you guys go and bring in crypto. We'll start using that. We'll adopt it. We're just kidding ourselves. They're not going to go down without a fight. It's going to take a revolution. It's going to take people just refusing to use fiat currency anymore, and instead using a decentralized currency like Bitcoin, maybe like XRP, maybe there's other coins out there. I know some people like to use privacy coins. I think that's going to be a harder sell. But either way, I don't think it's going to be an easy transition. I think there's going to have to kind of be hey, the people who are using this, who are leading the revolution, are going to take some pain. Yes, they're going to be paying in crypto that if they had just held that crypto could have been worth millions down the road, but they're willing to use it right now to prove a point that this money you can liquidate this money. This money is usable as currency. And so I think that if we can get one of these bills to pass, even if the $50 bill isn't as significant as maybe a $200 ability to use that without tax implications, I still think it will help us begin that transition and make it a little easier to start that revolution of saying, hey, we're going to start paying for things in crypto. I love the cities and the states that are starting to move towards letting you pay your taxes in crypto. There are housing and markets so you can pay your rent in crypto. So the signs are already coming. Now we're talking about just on a lower scale, actually having the ability, paired with everything that's coming out with the adoption of crypto, to be able to make these transactions, these small transactions, tax-free. It would be phenomenal and would help the cause immensely. Now, again, significance, one, that's a very small amount of money, so I'm not ready to just say that's going to be the deal breaker right there. Number two, I think within the article, I don't know if you read the detail of it T-Shroom, but I know there was part when I was reading it. This is not something we're going to see pass probably anytime soon. Like, more than likely, we wouldn't see this pass until mid to late 2023, if not 2024. But it's exciting that it's being put on the table right now to start the debate. And the fact that we're seeing multiple of these, one was 200, now we're seeing 50. Even if they don't pass, whenever you're starting the conversation, that's a good sign that we can be moving that direction sometime sooner rather than later. But I'm going to throw it back to you. What are your thoughts about this T-Shroom? Do you think this is significant? Do you agree with any of what I just said? Do you disagree with any of those points?
I almost think that this poses more of a logistical tax filing advantage. So, folks that are actually trying to use crypto to pay for things, like we have on the channel, we did a video where we went and bought a burrito. It's just, if you are realistically trying to be a crypto native where all you're using for currency is crypto, you're starting to be able to do that. You can't do that fully yet, unless you're really, really hardcore into it, but but you're starting to be able to do that. And so what I think is, as that reality starts to set in, by mid 2024 and certainly 2025, there's going to be folks that you're going to be able to more than likely be able to pay for groceries and gasoline in crypto. And, maybe not rent, maybe not a mortgage quite yet, but I think you can pay.
There are certain places you can.
Crypto and mortgage, maybe not in the U.S., but anyway, the point is, I think these bills are for more of the short-term logistics of it, so that you're not having to do all these crazy capital gains tax filings when you are doing your annual taxes. I think that's kind of more the purpose. And then also, to kick off that conversation. But I think in the long term, there shouldn't be a capital gains tax on crypto. I think I don't know how, if you're a currency trader, if you're a Forex trader, I believe there's capital gains on that. But if you're just an average Joe walking around, even traveling from the U.S. to Europe and, buying euros and using them and spending them there and coming back, I don't think that you have to report that in your taxes in the same way that the IRS is treating taxable income on trading crypto. But the reason is because the volatility in crypto is so great. But that's not always going to be the case. It'll be the case maybe for some altcoins for the end of time. But eventually, Bitcoin and Ethereum are going to be very stabilized relative to other fiats. You could also ask the question, what's going to happen to those fiats in that time? But I think that what I'd like to see is a bill that essentially sunsets capital gains tax on crypto, so that it essentially can operate as a currency. Is that making sense, Tim?
Kind of.
And by sunset, I mean eventually. And what would the parameters be that I would set on that? Eventually, there wouldn't be a tax on liquidating your crypto. Essentially,
it'd be utilized like cash.
Yeah, because there's just, but you actually do have a gain. Like right now, the USD is up quite a bit relative to the euro historically. So theoretically, everybody in the United States has realized a gain in their United States dollar, and when they go and buy potatoes at the grocery store, they're liquidating that USD gain. But we're not. The IRS doesn't tax you in that way, to my knowledge. But the reason why it makes sense to tax crypto right now and in the midterm is because, if you bought crypto in bought Bitcoin in 2011, right now you're up a crazy amount, right? So that kind of makes sense from a tax regime perspective, is you want that wealth to be, shared with the government so that they can fund things like the military and build roads and all this. So theoretically that makes sense, but going into the future, it doesn't make sense. And that's why a couple of countries around the world have gone ahead, I believe, in the countries where the Chinese miners migrated to, in Azerbaijan and Uzbekistan and those countries, I believe a couple of those have gone ahead and just nixed capital gains tax on crypto, for their mining industry, their burgeoning mining industry. Personally, I think it's a little too early for us to cut the capital gains tax on crypto. I think that would be great. That could potentially moonshot crypto, but that kind of defeats the purpose. Like right now, there needs to be a tax on it. I think there'd be more opposition on it But into the future, there should be a sunset on that tax.
You know, we've mentioned this before, but I'm just reminding people, you know, also in Austin, and you know, there's Austin's coming up a lot today with Consensus 2022. But at one of the speeches, I didn't even mean to go to it. I kind of just like stumbled into one of the sessions and I was like, oh, this is interesting. Stayed for like 15 minutes and then left. But the former commissioner of the CFTC, Dawn DeBerry, we talked about this. Dawn DeBerry Stump. I want to make sure I get her name correct. That's something she was talking about. Something you were starting to chew on there, T-Shroom, was she was saying, hey, you know, it's pretty obvious that Bitcoin is not a security. The question for the CFTC is it even a commodity? And she floated the concept that she was sitting here at the debate, should Bitcoin, at least Bitcoin, if not other cryptocurrencies, be treated more like cash and be you know, not taxed, because you know we don't tax cash for exchanging hands all the time. You have your income taxes and you have all these other things. But that's really interesting that even though she's not there, she was the chairman of the CFTC back in April of this year. So she just stepped down, or she just finished her term, and there's a new one there. But the fact that she still has she still has influence, and that's her opinion. That's a good sign. I'm not saying it's going to happen for sure, but it's nice to know that there are people in these higher positions that are at least having that wrestling inside of their mind, and potentially could we see that happen down the line? I mean, ultimately, here's we have to boil this down to. The government probably is not going to operate like this, but it would actually help our economy so much to allow crypto to be utilized in that way and to see it afloat and to have, you know, to be able, the government can exchange like that. Like, I think El Salvador was a little premature by adopting and making Bitcoin legal tender and kind of trying to go all in on it. I really still hope that ends up working out for them, but I know you guys have been reading up on them. They've been having some struggles economically right now. But I think what it would have been even smarter is to have, you know, if a country just said, hey, we will allow Bitcoin to be utilized as legal tender alongside US dollar, alongside whatever currency they use, and watch the redistribution of power in the money switch to the stronger money, because that's the law of economics. It will end up flowing into strong money, and it'll end up helping all the people. And you're talking about, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, whether you want us to be fiscally responsible and you're on the right side, whether you're on the left side and you're like, hey, this separation of riches is just ridiculous. Like, for example, in Gainesville, it's not the most, but it's one of the most segregated wealth. How would you phrase this? Segregated areas of wealth, meaning the west side of Gainesville versus the east side of Gainesville. The west side of Gainesville is one of the richest areas of Florida versus the east side of Gainesville is one of the poorest. And so it's like, if you're someone coming from that motivation, like how do we redistribute wealth without stealing from the rich to give to the poor? How do you do that? You have a strong currency that makes everything fair. And then it's not about where you started, it's about how you work and how you build and how you do things wisely. And your future is completely within your control. That's what strong money does for you. That's what Bitcoin would do for you. That's what gold did for people back in the day. Not saying there's still not corruption that happens in there, because obviously there's still corruption, but at least it's a fairer playing field than inflationary money. And we don't have time to get into that, but inflating money is just a way to steal from the poor to give to the rich and make the poor somehow still feel good. I don't know how they still feel good, but it is. Like, every time we inflate the dollar, it's the poor that suffer, not the rich.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's really interesting that former CFTC leader was thinking in that direction so long ago. But I did do a little bit of research. There are a couple of countries that are still prominent countries that are still tax-free, meaning there's very little or low tax on income from crypto trading, and that would be Germany, which is a big surprise. Germany, the Cayman Islands, El Salvador, Malaysia, Malta, Switzerland, Puerto Rico, Belarus, Singapore, and Portugal. In those countries, you pay no capital gains tax. So, and people have moved there because of that. And so, I'd love to do a case study, especially on Germany, because that's a very large economy. Puerto Rico, that's an interesting one, because that's actually, you can get some American bank accounts there, I believe. In Singapore, another that's a pretty giant economy as well, though it's a geographically small country. So they're doing it. They're doing it out there. So we're going to get some good data on how that is. But it makes sense, that transition for El Salvador specifically, because they just went ahead and made it legal tender, which legal tender, I believe, has a totally different tax status as just a currency. because it's integrated into the system, and to some extent it's mandated that only that currency can be used as a means of exchange, even though those lines are definitely being bended with the crypto revolution. But all I'm saying, the up and down of what I'm saying really is that it makes some sense for crypto to be taxed right now in the US and major countries like Canada and the UK, but in the long term it does not make sense for capital gains to be taxed on crypto, because it's not going to be volatile. Bitcoin will look like a stable coin.
Absolutely.
And not even relative to other fiats, but relative to prices of commodities like bananas and timber and soybeans and things like that. The price that you pay today for soybeans in denomination in Bitcoin will be very similar, only a very small percentage standard deviation from a month from now. That will be the reality in the future if all of our economic calculations are correct. So, and in that time, it just wouldn't make sense for there to be capital gains tax on crypto. So,
well, let us know what you think down in chat. Also, if you're watching this back, make sure you guys let us know in the comment section what you think. Do you think this bill will pass? Do you agree with us, or do you disagree with us about the future of what currency could be like? And what is the likelihood? Because I think most people are going to say it'd be nice to not be taxed for capital gains, but do you think that that's actually possible in the future, or do you think the government will continue to just try to make as much money from those capital gains as possible? We got to end the conversation right there because we do have to move on. We're running behind, and we've been running behind the last couple shows, so stay with us. This is going to be a little longer than an hour, but it is Tuesday, so that means the HODL Trophy right here. I had to turn the wrong way. HODL Trophy, we got to make our predictions. If you're new here, we every Tuesday predict what we think Bitcoin will look like, the price on Friday at 10:55 Eastern Standard Time. It is a game. Please do not use our predictions for any type of financial advice. But it is a game that we play, and I'd love to hear what team you choose this week. Team Tim, Team Smay, Team T-Shroom. Let us know who you think is right. I won last week. The HODL Trophy is on my desk. So I predict first, and then I think it is a Smay prediction than a T-Shroom prediction. So I was thinking about this a little bit earlier, and I'm going to go bullish. I think that Bitcoin is going to find some support here soon. I think we're kind of a little bit, coming down with this Fed news. I think the Fed news is going to do what I think it's going to do, 75 basis points, but still have some dovish outlook for the future. And I could see us bouncing back up around $22,000. So I'm going to go ahead and go with $22,000 for Friday's price prediction. Smay, what you got?
Let's see. Why don't you pull up a chart for me real quick so I can see?
You want to check it out?
Yeah, pull up a chart for me.
Yeah, I've got one pulled up if you want to go to my screen.
All right, I'll beat you to it.
Let's see here.
Here you go, dovish, go 19.2.
Why don't we take a look at this chart real quick, guys? What I'm seeing for my analysis here is that I'm seeing that this might be a little bit of a bearish day.
Yeah.
Bearish week. So I'm going to go ahead and say, based on my analysis, I like this prediction. It's from Mohammed Hajj said 18,700. That's what I'm going to go with.
18. That's lower than I thought.
Okay, I'm gonna take the 20,000 then.
Wow, yeah. What a politician right there. Spit the middle right there. Let us know in chat. Who do you guys think is going to win? Team Tim with 22,000. We got to bounce and start heading back up. Do you think that we're going to have a major bearish move with Team Smay and go all the way down to 18,700? Or do you want to stay kind of conservative? We're not really going to do much of anything. Just go down a little bit and go with T-Shroom's prediction of 20,000. Let us know in the chat. Let us know in the comments. Guys, that is all we have for you guys today. I guess, we're over already, but I think we have some super chats.
Yeah, we had one super chat.
We have one. Let's read that super chat, and then we will close this
Roman said, donated $20 and said, I was asking, and had asked about the Binance Smart Chain microcap coins. I was asking because I bought a coin called Gidget Inu on PancakeSwap on Binance Smart Chain, and it went up 500%. I was talking to the dev, and he seems chill, TBH. So some very casual shilling there going on.
There we go.
Love to see it. But
I think there's one more.
Yeah, there's one more. Jason Lang.
Yeah, but for the record, I searched that Gidget Inu, and it did not even come up on Coinbase.
Oh,
so
yikes.
highly do not recommend.
Come on.
And I did not get the other super chat. So if you guys see
Jason Lang. He said, I thought, and he did not spell that right, but I don't know if he's trying to make a joke there. I thought only Tim butchered names. LOL. Sorry I couldn't resist. Lang sounds like bang. Love you guys. Keep up great work, and we are still praying for the Jebbi night. Absolutely, we are. Well, guys, that is all we have for you guys today on Tuesday, but we will be having an afternoon video come out like normal. Make sure you stay tuned for that this afternoon. More than likely coming out around 3:30 or so, maybe 4. We'll see about that. We'll be back tomorrow. It is the big day, the FOMC meeting. Caleb Franzen will be joining us for the morning show on Coffee and Crypto Live. And then when we go live tomorrow afternoon at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to cover the number that's actually given to us and then watch the Jerome Powell speech with you guys, Caleb will join us for that one as well. So you do not want to miss it. With that being said, though, I love each and every single last one of you. Thank you for joining us this morning, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.
Oh, I got a real good feeling.